Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about properties of matter. So this week we're going to be looking a little bit more at how we describe specific substances. And then in your second notes we'll be looking at how we describe changes in those substances. Alright, so firstly, we're taking Cornell notes with these. So if you could set up your notes, do the before part, click on that template, and then you'll be ready to take these notes. All right, so there are three big ideas when we're talking about matter, and I would like you to write these three big ideas at the top section of your notes. The first, and we covered this last week, is that all matter is made of tiny particles that have mass, take up space, and are always in motion, even if that motion is very little. The second big idea that we're going to talk about in these notes is that all matter have properties that we can use to identify it. Some properties are physical and some properties are chemical. We're going to talk about this big idea in today's notes. And lastly, matter cannot be created or destroyed. We can only rearrange it either physically or chemically. And we're going to talk about this big idea in the second set of notes for this week. All right, so we've already covered that one. Let's take a look at this idea here. Firstly, all matter has both physical and chemical properties. So how do we describe the substances physically? We can say this is a liquid, these cookies are solids. We can describe these controllers in terms of their shape and the fact that they are plastic, right? We can take a look at this here and we can talk about what things make up the atmosphere, what makes up the parts of the tree, but also how does the tree work, right? So that might be chemical properties. This is your first definition for these notes. Remember, anything in red is a definition you need to know. And I've highlighted a couple words here that I want to talk about because you're going to hear them a lot this week. Firstly, a physical property is a characteristic of a substance that can be observed without changing the substance. So we can just look at it and we can describe it. The word characteristic means anything that is a quality of something. Okay, so a characteristic of me is that I have brown hair. I have glasses. Okay, I am a female. So those are characteristics. And then whenever you see the word substance, we're talking about any one type of thing. Okay, any one type of thing. Here's some examples of physical properties. A physical property can be the texture of something. So is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Does it have cracks in it? What does the surface feel like or look like? It can be the temperature of something, right? So we can say that a physical property of me is that I am 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. A physical property of a substance can be its phase. So what phase is it currently in? Is it currently a gas, a liquid, or a solid? So remember, that's related to the substance's temperature. Then we can talk about the color of the substance. Next, we can talk about the mass of the substance, right? How much of the substance is there? What does it weigh? And then finally, we can talk about the substance's shape, right? Some things have very simple shapes. Some things have very hard to describe complex shapes. All you need to write down for this slide is just the words, okay? Next definition we have is a chemical property. A chemical property is a characteristic, remember a quality, of a substance that can only be observed when the substance changes into something new. So, for example, I can't look at a ball and say, oh, this ball is round and smooth, and also if I hold a match underneath it, it'll melt and light on fire. Right? So we can't really know what the substance's chemical properties are until we actually see it react with something. All right, and so I gave you a whole bunch of examples for physical properties, but there's actually only one chemical property that you need to know, and that is reactivity. Reactivity is the only chemical property, and it's how easily a substance interacts with another substance to form something new. All right, so there are lots of types of reactivity, right? One form of reactivity is explosions. Another form of reactivity is combustion or burning. Another form of reactivity is corrosion, so the ability to kind of eat away at metals or organic substances or other things. All right, so in these notes, you have those three definitions, and now we have talked about the second big idea. All matter have properties. Now we know that they're physical and chemical that can be used to identify it. All right, when you're done with these Cornell notes, make sure that you add a couple study questions, make your summary at the bottom, and make sure that you've added some color to highlight important ideas in these notes. All right, so you have one more set of notes for this week that you can do today or tomorrow.